Hi guys, welcome back. My name is Scott, and today we're diving back into the Chaos Knight that we painted in our previous video. Today we're focusing on the armor panels and all the little details that make this knight really look good. I'm very pleased with how this knight turned out. It's got some very nice green paint effects on it, as well as some good weathering. So let's go ahead and dive into how I painted it. We're going to start this model off by priming it with Wraithbone Spray Primer from Citadel. Now you'll notice I keep all of the armor pieces separate from the rest of the model. That's so that I can get around to all the details in the back of them. A lot of them, the back side of the armor panel will actually show on the final model. Now we're going to start off with Castellan Green. We're going to just paint this all over the main armor panels that we want to be green. Now this is going to take a couple coats, especially with a white base underneath it, so be patient with it and just do a couple nice thin coats so that you get a smooth finish, because you don't want to have a lot of brush stroke lines on your model for this. Now once that's dried, we're going to use a Chthonian Camo shade. We're going to wash this all over all the green panels that we've painted. Now be warned, if you go too heavy and let this pool up too much, it is going to get a foggy white finish on it when you're done, and you don't want that. And once we've allowed our shade to dry, we're going to take Moot Green and we're going to dry brush this over the armor panels. Now we're focusing on making sure that the paint is heavier towards the center of each panel, and then it gets thinner as you get out towards the edges. This is going to give the appearance as if we had airbrushed this model, even though we did it with a dry brush. Now we're going to use Abaddon Black. We're going to paint this on the backs of some of the shoulder pads, as well as a couple panels on the leg armor. And ultimately you can decide which panels are going to get which color when you do your own knight. Once that's dried, we'll use Dawnstone to dry brush over the armor panels. This is just to give the black a somewhat worn appearance, as if it's taken some damage in battle, or even just has ash or other dust on it. Now any of the panels that we want to do in white, we're going to first go through with Agrax Earthshade and wash them. Now we are going to paint over a lot of this, so you don't have to worry about it where it pools up as much. The main thing is to just make sure that it gets a good defined line around the edges. Now once that's dried, we're going to use Wraithbone, and we're going to layer over the armor panel, but we're going to focus on kind of blending and transitioning from the shade to the cleaner surfaces. So some parts of the armor are going to look dirty, and other parts will look clean. Make sure you thin this down so that you can do those layers and transition that correctly. Now we're going to take Leadbelcher. We're going to paint this on the pipes that are on the top of the knight. There's also a handful of chains and other just parts on the top of this that should be silver, such as these vents on the back. Just be careful not to get the green armor around it. Now we're going to take a Chthonian Camo shade and we're going to wash this over all the parts we just painted with the Leadbelcher. This is just going to be to help it blend in with the understructure that we painted in the previous video. Now we're going to begin working on the trim on the armor panels, and we're going to use Retributor armor for this. Now, this may take 2 coats, or it may take 1 coat, depending on how thick or thin your paint is. Sometimes I've found that bottles of Retributor armor are not consistent. Some will be thinner and others will be thicker. But you can always water it down if your paint is too thick. And once we've done that gold, we're going to use Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to wash this over those armor panels. And it's okay to let this pool up in some of the flat surfaces, because we are going to dry brush another color over this in a minute that's going to really change how this looks. Once that shade is dried, we're going to use Necron Compound, and we're going to dry brush this over all of the trim. This is going to turn the gold into a somewhat paler, silvery gold color. And we're going to use Mechanicum Standard Gray. We're going to paint this on the Chaos Star that's on the front of the knight. Now for the spikes, we're going to do Baneblade Brown. We're going to paint this all over all the spikes that are on the shoulder pad sticking out of the shoulder pad. We're not going to do this on the ones that come off of the trim though. Now for the spikes that come off of the trim, we're going to use Morghast Bone. This is going to give them the appearance of being more like teeth. Just be careful not to get this on the armor panels around it, because it is going to be kind of annoying to have to clean up, especially on those panels where we got our color through dry brushing. Those are going to be annoying to have to repeat multiple steps to fix. Now once that's been done, we're going to take a Athonian Camo Shade, and we're going to shade this on all the spikes that are coming out of the armor panels. But once again, don't do this on the spikes that are coming out of the trim. Now for the spikes coming out of the trim, we're going to use Contrast Skeleton Horde. We're just going to wash this over those, and be careful not to let it pool too heavily, because this will turn those brown rather than the cream color they are right now. Then we're going to use Nuln Oil, and we're going to wash this on the Chaos Star on the front. Now with all those shades dried, we're going to take Iron Rack Skin, and we're going to dry brush this on the spikes that are coming out of the top of the armor panels. And for the skulls and the spikes that are coming out of the trim, we're going to use Wraithbone, and we're going to edge highlight the most raised surfaces on these parts. Now we're going to start working on some of the details of the model. We're going to start with Mephiston Red. We're going to use this color to go pick out any of the wires that are on the surface of the armor panels on the knight. There are a handful of these, both on the panel that goes right above the head of the knight, as well as on the main back plate of the knight. Now we're also going to go through, and on the chest panel of the knight, we're going to use Corax White. We're going to pick out the gaps between the different layers of plating on this piece. And eventually those are going to be made to look like they're glowing. Now we're going to go up to the top of the model. We're going to use Averland Sunset. We're just going to paint this on the window that's on the door to the cockpit of the knight. Now while those colors are drying, we're going to take Contrast Black Templar, and we're going to go through, and anywhere on any of the panels that there is a vent, we're going to put this in there to make that vent appear black. Now we're using contrast instead of normal paint, because it's easier to wipe away if we accidentally overpaint. Now we're going to go through with Lead Belcher, and we're just going to pick out any details that we missed the first time around, or any areas that we overpainted, or even just any spots we want to add scuff marks or paint chipping. Now returning back to that chest plate, we're going to use Bloodletter. Now this is a out-of-production glaze paint, and I haven't yet found a good substitute or replacement for it. But we're just going to wash this over each of those white spots, and it's going to give it this orange glowing effect. Now we're going to go through with Cassandora Yellow, and we're just going to put a giant dab of this up in that window we painted before. Now we're going to take Mephiston Red, and we're going to freehand a Chaos Star on the shoulder pad here. Now to do this, I just start by creating a simple arc and building it out till it's the thickness I like. And then I go through and I just trace the outline of a couple triangles poking off of the arc that we did. And then I just fill that in and keep adding to it until I'm happy with the shape of it. Now while we're doing details, I'm going to take some transfers from the Chaos Knight transfer sheet. And when you apply these, you just put a drop of water in the spot where you're going to put it. You soak the transfer piece in water, and then you put it on the model, position it, and then soak up the excess water and just let it dry. Once you put your transfers on, you need to go through with matte varnish and just put a layer over the decals. This will kind of seal them in. This also serves to help get rid of the glare that's left from the transfer sheet itself. Now we're going to go through with Agrax Earthshade, and we're going to add some grime streaks going down the white armor plates and the green armor plates. Now this is just done by starting at the top of the plate and then just dragging your brush with excess shade in it down the length of the armor panel. Now finally, our last detail, I go through with Stormhost Silver. We're just going to put a dot on each rivet that is spread across the model, and there are a lot of these. And that's why I always do it as the last step, because if you do it earlier on when you're still handling the model, you're going to end up rubbing the paint off. With that, we finished painting this Chaos Knight. Now you'll notice I didn't do the base plate. I am going to save that for another video. Thank you for watching today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and like and then subscribe to my channel. And then go ahead and comment and let me know what you thought of this Chaos Knight. Do you enjoy the green colors? Do you enjoy how I've done it? Would you like to see more Knights in the future? Anyway, have a great day. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.